Good morning, Rovers. It's day 6 of our Atlantic crossing. For those of you who are just joining us, we left Virginia Beach at the mouth of Chesapeake Bay 6 days ago, and we're bound for the Azores, specifically the island of Fayal and the Port of Horta. So over those 6 days we've encountered, well, just about every kind of wind you can imagine. Last night we were pounded very hard through most of the night, taking waves broadside on Wave Rover. And Wave Rover, if you're curious, is a 21-foot, that's 6.5 meter sailboat that I built in my backyard, and she has a unique rig, a Chinese junk rig. Take a look. And while we're at it, take a look at that sunrise. Well, let me take you up on deck and I'll show you one of the concerns I had during the heavy weather last night. Well, first off, you can see the deck is all wet, and that's just from waves coming over the side this morning. It's still a bit rough out. We're taking the seas broadside, well, mostly broadside, but one of the things I had not done is mount the engine on its seagoing position. So I've done that now, and if you notice, I have it lashed down right here so that if it does come off this mooring, it's not going far. It'll make a hell of a racket, but I'll be able to recover it. Always make sure that you've got the fuel connection point right here to have that covered and keep it clean, to keep salt water from getting in there. So it was on the engine mount. Let me just head over there and show you. Was on the engine mount. I've now raised the engine mount to its maximum point, but just so you know, lowering that is very, very easy, and that's my emergency get back on board ladder, if you will. There's the seas. They are approaching 1 meter, but we expect they're going to get a lot taller as the day goes on. We're expecting over the next 4 to 5 days winds somewhere between 20 to 25 knots, gusting to 30. So this will be our first test of high winds, high winds on this crossing. Well, I believe it's time to go below and have some breakfast. So what's on the menu? Well, it's going to be Wave Rover seafood omelet. So I'm going to open these tins and drain them outside. They're packed in water, so it's a tin of mackerel and a tin of sardines. Next thing we need are 3 eggs. So we'll just go to our egg supply. One of the things I did before leaving, I coated all the eggs. I have 6 dozen eggs on board, and I coated all of the eggs in Vaseline, so they're kind of tricky to pick up. They're a little bit slippery, so I need 2 hands to do this. I'll have to do it off camera. I'm just going to crack the eggs into a bowl. So this is 3 eggs. If we get to the point where the passage is taking a bit longer than we're anticipating, we will switch to a 2-egg omelet. Now I've poured the contents of the mackerel and the sardines into the egg mixture, and we're just going to crush them. So now the last ingredient of our omelet, right here. And let's put the lock back on. So what's in this jar? So I have my mixture of fish and eggs just in my sink, my bucket sink, just for safety. And inside this white jar, this is tallow, beef tallow, and this is grass-fed beef tallow. And you take a great big spoonful. You can see that's a tablespoon and a half or more, and put it in and mix it right in. So what does the tallow do? The tallow is fat. Your body needs 2 things. Your body needs protein, which I'm getting from the eggs and the fish, and we need fat. Now your body can manufacture fat, that's a fact. It does it out of sugar, but it comes at a high cost. And you can talk to diabetics about that. Now with everything mixed, I've poured it into the pan. Next job is get the stove started. So I turn it on. This is a non-pressurized alcohol stove. And it's lit. It's very easy to light. Put our pan on. And just let it cook somewhere around 2. So I have it set there in between 1 and 2, and I'll probably cook it for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'll check it after about 10 minutes. So there it is. It's been cooking about 10 minutes. I flipped it at the 10-minute point, and as you can see, I didn't do a great job. It broke at this point, but overall, pretty good. I have it on very, very low right now, and I'll probably turn it off and just let the heat finish searing the bottom. But that's what we're looking at. That is done. It probably, by the time I turned it off there, we were about 12 minutes into the cooking. 12 minutes on fairly low heat. Just let that cool down now for a little while, and then it's bon appetit. Well, while that cools, let's go outside and just take a look at what my environment looks like. Now the seas, I would call those 1 meter, fairly close to it, which is about 3 feet. We have some clouds filling in to the east. Beautiful to the south and to the west. But yeah, to the north and the east we have clouds. We still have one reef tucked in, and I think we'll keep it that way just because we're expecting stronger winds building throughout the day. And we are, after all, making 6 knots right now. We couldn't ask for much better. The Mark III, my self-steering design, is doing marvelously well. So simple, easy to build, and yet does the work of another crew, probably about 3 crew members, to the way it steers 24/7. So the next thing I do is put a little bit of iodine on it. So on the seafood omelet, I put 5 drops. And why the iodine? Well, iodine is noted to help prevent glandular cancers. What are those? Well, there are things like prostate cancer or gallbladder or I'm not a doctor, but you can look all this up. Seafood naturally has iodine in it. That's why I only took 5 drops. If it was ground beef or any of the other dishes I eat, I would put 10 drops in. It's a 2% solution. This is what I've determined is right for me to help stave off those kinds of cancers. Now, you don't necessarily want to be taking your medical advice from a sailor boat builder. You might want to do your own research. You don't need too much salt because it is a seafood omelet after all. And now that first taste. You gotta try this. This is excellent. So the wind hasn't materialized yet, so I've hoisted full sail again. So the wind is, it's averaging about 14 knots right now, and the seas are about, well, almost 3 feet. So we were expecting the wind to fill in this morning, but it's still early, and it probably will fill in. It's just that between now and then, we can get an extra knot by having the full sail up. And it's very easy to drop sail with the junk rig. So, I mean, it's really a nothing, you know, it takes less than 30 seconds. Look at this. Wave rabbit, exhausted, sleeping again. I've served on ships with sailors like this. I'm not sure why I even take them to sea. And then I've got my Rover coin. I guess the truth of the matter is they're both good luck to me. Not that sailors tend to be superstitious. Well, Rovers, as you can see and hear from the way the jacket is swinging and the noise inside the cabin, we're pounding into the seas pretty well. So we're going to go up and deck. I'll just give you the briefing now because it's a little noisy up there. The winds have increased to 16 plus knots, steady, and the seas now are about 1.5 meters, so that's about 5 to 6 feet. And both of these conditions have been building throughout the day. So let's head up. And waves continue to build. I think it might be time to switch out the heavy or the medium weather vane for the light weather vane that's currently in there. Well, there we go, Rovers. 21, 20 knots, 19, 21, 20, 22. So as you can see, we're getting a fair bit of wind. We've got lots of white caps, if you can see them, and the waves have grown. Well, they're about, I'd say, about 6 to 7 feet. And to battle these winds, I've tucked 2 reefs in. So we have, well, we still have 3 reef points to go. The sail is drawing nicely. Well, Rovers, the captain has deemed the upper decks out of bounds. We have high winds, we have spray, we have slippery conditions. So what are those conditions? Well, the last I checked, we were at 22 knots, 18 to 22 knots. The wind was from the southeast, and the seas were about 1.5 meters to 2 meters. The conditions are expected to get worse as the evening progresses. So by midnight we are expecting 3-meter seas and winds 25 to 30 knots. The good news is the winds are expected to veer. Veer means that the winds are going to go clockwise. So the southeast winds that we have right now will become southerly winds. And that's good for us because with the southerly winds, we'll be able to get back to an easterly course, which is closer to where our destination is. How are we dealing with these winds? Well, currently, as you saw, we have 2 reefs in the main, and we are close hauled. We have the medium weather vane on the Mark III, and we're steering well with it. So it's fairly comfortable actually down below here, all things considered. We will give you a report in the morning when we, well, I'm not about to say get through, because actually we're looking at about 5 days of these high winds. It's just that the direction of the wind will change, and because the current wind we have is against the Gulf Stream, it's creating these sort of choppy short seas that are giving us a little bit of difficulty. Nothing we can't handle, mind you. As always, folks, thanks for watching, and forge your own adventure.